Give us your take on this reported agreement for the Saudis and the Russians to cut back on oil production.
David, it's not clear that the agreement is as clear-cut as the markets have taken it. It's not clear that the Russians have actually agreed to what we heard in the tweets. And also not clear that this quick sugar high that the markets got on the energy side, which was close to 10% on the energy sector, while the total market went up around 2%, is something that will stay up for a long time.
So what would it take, in your judgment, for the Russians actually to agree to something like this? Because there are other issues, for example, the United States has with Russia, such as some of those sanctions over the Nord Stream pipeline.
Absolutely. You have the political issues which are ongoing and have not been resolved. On the other side is the economic issues. For the Russians and the Saudis, oil revenues constitute the largest share of their economies. So cutting back is not so straightforward at a time when they're having a lot of difficulties meeting their own situations and the expenses that are going up at a time when their own economies have slowed down. So Saudi Arabia, for example, close to 90% of its economy and revenues is coming from oil, and obviously Russia is very much based on commodities in terms of its economy. So it will be a lot of hardship for them to cut down 10 million. I also heard the number 15 million thrown around. And, if you remember when we had the refinery attacks in Saudi Arabia, oil prices did go up like we experienced today. But at the same time, they did not stay up for very long. And my belief is that while we have this quick uptick in oil prices, with the kind of demand in the economy that continues to weaken in the U.S., and even though China is up somewhat, even in China, nobody's really buying the goods that China is producing. You're not going to see a lot of sustained strength in energy markets, plus everything else that's going on, which is the storage capacities are getting filled up, and they will be pretty much filled by June. So by and large, I think oil will be more in the 30s than in the 40s to 50s, which is where people have been trying to push it to. It may even, with economy staying much weaker than people expect today, stay closer to the $20 range. But the 20 to 30, 35 seems to be where it might be sort of the new norm for oil prices.